Welcome. My name is Matthew, and I'm with Delaney, and today we're going to talk about Generation Z. And with the internet, a new generation was born. That's Generation Z. They are kids born from 1995 to 2010. Their lives revolve around new technology, violence in the media, a volatile government, and social justice issues. Here's a video that Generation Z kids share what it's like in their life.
We're not as bad as people say we are at all.
No. Our generation is a lot more connected.
Like, we haven't really existed in a world where, like, social media isn't a thing.
I've had to go a whole week without data, and it was super hard. Super hard.
The way that we grow up is probably different from the way that our teachers or our parents or our grandparents grew up.
They usually have, like, Blackberries.
You have a flip phone.
Or they would like talk on like the phone connected to the wall.
Kind of sad. They're missing, like, the whole world.
They had TVs,
which were, like, in black and white. But that's okay because black and white can be entertaining.
I feel like in each generation there's always something that's new. And it's just kind of like that's what they know, and this is what we know.
First got my phone when I was in 5th grade for Christmas.
I've always wanted a phone just so I can, like, be in touch with my peoples.
Well, if I haven't seen them in a while and I really want to have a conversation with them, I'll probably text to them.
My parents were always telling me to like put the phone down or get up and do something.
Well, I'm not always on my phone. I just pulled it out, like, right now because I'm talking to a friend.
I just love apps. First period on a Chromebook, then to second period on a Chromebook, then to third period on a computer.
There was one time when the power went out at school, and in one of my classes, we just sat there the entire time.
All right, we're back. So the kids of Generation Z have information at their fingertips, but they don't even realize the power of their touch. Before they even completely finish a thought, it is off for the whole world to see. This is their world, though. They don't know anything different. They've grown up in a post 9/11 world, a mass murder and active shooter world. They're growing up in a world where no one is safe. So it causes them to feel scared, but also they feel really powerful. They feel like they have the power to change the world. They're loud and they're proud, and they believe that they can make a difference. And that's something that's really important to remember about these kids. They're a lot different from past generations because they feel like they're going to be the ones that make a difference. So what does this mean for teachers? Well, it means a lot. When you're teaching Generation Z students, the students need hands-on learning opportunities. Gone are the days where you read words in a book and then you answer questions. Those days are gone. These students crave immediate feedback, and they want to apply what they learn to real-life situations immediately. They feel that what they're learning needs to be relevant to the outside world pretty much that day after school. They learn by observing others. So YouTube tutorials. Think about the kids in today's world. They want to learn to make slime. They are not going to look for a recipe for slime. They're going to find a YouTube video and watch a tutorial that teaches them how to make it. And they're going to follow along, and that's how they're going to make their slime. One thing that's different from the millennials is that they're intrapersonal learners. They learn at their own pace, and they prefer to work independently at their own speed and in their own way. And when I say independently, that doesn't mean, once again, reading a book and answering questions by themselves. It means that they want to learn in their own way, at their pace. So they like to be engaged. They still need the teacher there, but they want to be at their pace. So your pace might not be the exact same pace as them. They need time to process and then time to give you the information.
This does not mean to abandon all collaborative activities. So when you're teaching in a classroom, be mindful when designing group activities and plan to give students their own time before sharing ideas and resources with the group. They do like feedback and they do like to share, but on their terms. So what does a generation classroom look like? There's a shift in education in the classroom with technology. Teachers are able to use technology in order to keep them engaged. It allows them to easily communicate. When they're highly engaged and technology is incorporated, it allows them to buy into their own education. With two-way communication, this allows students to communicate away from the classroom, away from home. They're able to communicate not only with themselves, the teacher, and gaining comments from other students as well in group projects. Students are involved in their own learning. It allows them to buy in because their choice plays a role in their education, and that's when their creativity plays out. Working with technology in the classroom creates a community, as well as allowing them to have hands-on in their learning. Students are held with higher standards as well, and that's just with their own Generation Z ideas. To describe the Generation Z classroom in 3 words are engaging, collaborative, and digital.
So how can we support the Generation Z classroom? Here are some examples of what you could do in your classroom to best support these students. A flipped classroom is where teachers can create a screencast similar to this one you're watching right now, with all the information that needs to be directly taught for the students to do at home. So they watch the video at home, they have all of the background knowledge, and then they come to class and they can do a culminating activity. Instead of having to read this information or use that time in class to get this information, and the homework is to be answering questions. This flips it, so they're actually getting the information at home, and then they're doing a more hands-on activity in class. G Suite, different programs such as Google Classroom, Google Docs, Google Slides, and so much more. G Suite is a wonderful opportunity to incorporate technology into the classroom. You can even create a digital test on Google Forms. For those students that are in the upper grades, we know that the state tests are now online. So we need to prepare our students for digital material and how to take a test digitally, because that is what they're going to be expected to do. If you don't practice from the beginning of the year, they may not be ready. And collaborative group work. Collaborative group work should not be just one person doing all the work for the entire group. I know when I went to school, that's kind of what it was. There was a person that was a natural leader, and they kind of ended up doing the entire work for everyone in the group, and everyone kind of got that grade, which wasn't really fair. When we talk about collaborative group work, we are talking about each member should have a job to complete, and then the group should collaborate together to teach each other and create a finished product. So some great technology tools that you could incorporate in your classroom. Nearpod. Nearpod is awesome. Nearpod is similar to a slideshow presentation, but it's much more engaging, and the tools for the teacher are very cool as well. There are so many different lessons that are already uploaded on the Nearpod app, or you could create your own. What I really like about it is if you do a specific presentation, what the students do is they go to Nearpod and they enter your code, and then you can see everything they're doing. They cannot skip ahead. They can only stay on the exact same slide that you are on. So you know that they're all on the same slide as you. They're not skipping ahead. They're not going backwards. Also, you can incorporate questions. So if you are talking about, for example, right now, if this was a slide, everyone would be on this exact slide, and then my next slide would be a question. What are some of the good features about Nearpod? And then you would get those results immediately. Another thing that I really like is the bulletin board feature. It will ask a question, and all the kids will create this digital sticky note, and it sends it, and then it posts it up on a digital bulletin board for everyone to see. So then you can go over. It's a very good quick check option. It does not say their names, so it's anonymous, and it's a good way to address issues that may not be the correct answer without calling out a student. Front Row Ed is another awesome technology tool for the classroom. There is math, language arts, and more recently, I think they've incorporated science and social studies. Front Row Ed has adaptive learning. So when the student enters for a math exam, for example, they enter on a specific standard, and they take a pretest, and at that pretest, it puts them at a specific level, and then there's adaptive learning from there. So they answer questions. The format is fun. They earn coins for it, so they get to go to a store, so it's engaging in that sense, but it's also similar to the California testing. It's a digital format, and it looks kind of similar to that, so that's very good practice. Google Classroom is another tool that I personally love. You can post assignments. Many different technology tools are linked to Google Classroom, so a lot of the times you just say share to Google Classroom. Another awesome thing about it is if there's a website that is very kind of tricky to write down, if I, as the teacher, go to that website, I can click send push to students, and every student's Chromebook or computer will pop up with that website. So how do I get my Generation Z students to work hard for me? Well, you have to get involved. These students require you to get to know them on a deeper level. They require a personal relationship with their teacher. If you can create that bond, they're going to move mountains for you. You need to get to know every single one of them. You need to know what are their likes, what are their dislikes. You need to ask them questions. They need to feel like you are a confidant because they need to feel safe in their learning environment. And if you are the teacher and you're up on a level which is untouchable, then those students aren't going to feel safe to learn or fail in your classroom. And we as teachers know that in order to learn, sometimes you do have to fall and then get back up. So here are some things to consider for Generation Z. Although Generation Z is huge on technology, that doesn't mean that your entire day has to be on the computers. Okay, if you lose power, your day should not be lost. Just as those students said, you should not be sitting there staring at each other. You should have a backup plan. You can use technology if it's going to enhance the lesson. Another thing is that kids need buy-in. They need to feel like what they're learning is going to benefit them in the near future. You need to make it relevant to their lives, make it relevant to what they're going to do in the future. And then you really need to teach your students about digital citizenship. Internet is awesome, but it's also very dangerous if used in the wrong way. Like we said in the very beginning, they don't realize that before a thought is even completely processed in their head, they have clicked send, and it is there forever. You really need to teach them that. Another thing is that technology does not replace the teacher. The teacher still needs to facilitate and lead. It's not that you're going to put your student on a program that's on the computer and then be done. Your job is not done. It's far from done. And then you need to be a confidant, not a friend. We talked about relationships. You need to be there to support your students, but you still need to expect high standards from them. You need to hold them to high standards. And that's what they want. In different interviews from middle schoolers, they said that they want someone who will listen, but they also want someone who's going to hold them to high standards. And then Generation Z students need guidance with interpersonal relationships. A lot of the things they do are over the computer, where they have this screen in front of them and it protects them. And as we know, in the real world, in life, when you get a job, that's not always how it is. You have to learn to work with other people. So we need to give them opportunities to work collaboratively so that they're able to perform in the real world. These are some resources that we used. A article called Meet Cooperative Learning from the Middle School Journal, an article about Generation Z, educating and engaging the next generation of students. And then if you really liked that video and you would like to watch it again, this is the website for it. We hope that you learned a little bit more about Generation Z and are able to use that for your classroom, because these are the students that we are teaching every day and we need to know how to support them best. Thank you.